Alright, so now we're switching gears from mangrove ecology and we're going to start talking about the Mangrove Act. The Mangrove Trimming and Preservation Act is a part of Florida statutes 439321 through 34 specifically, and was passed in 1996. Here is just a summary of the legislative intent for the establishment of the Mangrove Act. First, to protect mangroves from unregulated destruction either by removal or over-trimming, to protect uninhabited mangrove islands and lands set aside for conservation from trimming and or removal. And just as a side note, there are multiple types of land that the Act considers as land set aside for conservation and are laid out in the definition section of the Act. It is the intent that it is also not just to protect the species, but also provide waterfront property owners their riparian rights of view. And the legislature also wanted to encourage all property owners to plant and maintain these important mangrove species. So here's just a quick layout of the topics of the Act I'm going to discuss. I'll go through the exempt activities that the Act offers, both for trimming by homeowners and trimming by professional mangrove trimmers, or PMTs. I will talk about the guidelines for the general permits as well as individual permits. And I will wrap up by talking about different trimming styles as well as enforcement for violations. But first, let's go over a few definitions that the Act as well as I will be referring to throughout the talk. The Act defines mangrove as any specimen of the 3 native species to Florida. These are the ones that we covered in the ecology section, the red, the black, and the white mangrove. In addition, the Act does not distinguish between living and dead mangroves for the purpose of trimming, removal, or requiring a permit. And as such, the regulations set forth in the Act protect both living and dead mangroves the same. Although dead mangroves lack foliage, they still provide structure and some habitat. Shoreline. The word shoreline is used throughout the Act and is a key aspect in the permitting requirements. The shoreline is defined as the jurisdictional boundary where the wetlands and other surface waters meet the uplands. This can also be called the wetland delineation line. In the picture here, we have a wide expanse of salt marsh throughout here and some mangroves that stretch from where the main water body is here through the wetlands and up to the shoreline. So the shoreline is not where the main water body meets the wetlands here, but rather where the wetlands meet the uplands. It is important to note that many times the shoreline is above the mean high water line. The Act also distinguishes between the words trim and alter. Trimming means to cut mangrove branches, twigs, limbs, and foliage, but does not mean to remove, defoliate, or destroy the mangroves. And alteration is defined as anything else. Please note that the trimming definition does not include cutting mangrove roots. Cutting mangrove roots is considered alteration and is a violation unless specifically authorized. Alright, professional mangrove trimmer, PMT. In some cases, like with certain exemptions, homeowners can trim their own mangroves. However, when a homeowner is not able to trim their mangroves as per the Act, a professional mangrove trimmer, or PMT, may be required. For the purposes of the Act, a person can automatically be considered a PMT if they have one of the following certifications, and that certification is a current and active membership with that organization. They can be an ISA certified arborist, a PWS professional wetland scientist, a CEP certified environmental professional, an ESA certified ecologist, or a LA landscape architect if they have met the mangrove trimming special qualification. PMTs are required by the Act to trim or supervise the trimming of all mangroves under certain exemptions, as well as all of the general permits, but they can be used on any and all mangrove trimming projects. In addition to the automatic qualifications, a person can also be granted PMT status through the department. DEP PMT status is granted to trimmers who have completed a minimum of 10 mangrove trimming projects authorized by the department. For more information about this process, you can contact myself at the number and email listed on the slide. I also have a contact slide at the end of the presentation. The department also maintains a list of all PMTs for each district in the state. The list is comprised of individuals who have contacted the department and provided documentation confirming their PMT status in order to be added to the list, and the lists are updated regularly. Okay, so delegated local governments. The Mangrove Act provides the department with the ability to delegate its authority to local governments. Here's a map of the 6 local governments that have been delegated authority to regulate and enforce the Mangrove Act. There are 4 counties, Broward, Dade, Hillsborough, and Pinellas County, as well as the city of Sanibel and the town of Jupiter Island, all have delegation. Delegations can, if they choose, impose stricter regulation and enforcement standards than provided in the Act, so long as they do not limit any of the exemptions provided in the Act. Also, some delegations, such as Hillsborough, Broward, and Dade, also have ERP delegation. Now for water management districts. Of the 5 water management districts in the state, the department has delegation agreements pertaining to mangroves with 3 of them. They are the St. Johns River Water Management District, the Southwest Florida Water Management District, and South Florida Water Management District. However, they do not have the same delegation authority as other local governments. The Water Management District's delegated authority only applies when trimming activity is proposed in connection with an ERP application as per the operating agreement between the 2 agencies, the department and the Water Management District. The purpose of this delegation is to avoid unnecessary duplicate permits by the applicant, to streamline the regulation process, and to only have one state entity processing applications for one project.